Chicago has long been synonymous with the blues. Muddy Waters, Willie Dixon, Coco Taylor, Buddy Guy, Bo Diddley, just a few of the legendary names in Chicago blues. One of their most ardent fans has now carved out a blues career of his own when he's moonlighting from his demanding day job.
Blues music is a feeling, and I think the thing that everybody needs to understand, it's not a note, it's how a note makes you feel. It's not a chord, it's what a chord does to your body, and most importantly, it's a groove that kind of shapes the rhythm of your day, of your life. And for me, I can't imagine life without the blues.
For Daniel Chicago Slim Ivankovich, blues has become the backbeat of his life. He co-founded the Chicago Blues All-Stars. Now this giant of a man, he's 6'11", is its lead guitarist. Born in Yugoslavia, Ivankovich grew up listening to and playing classical music. But when he first heard the blues, Ivankovich fell in love.
I was born in a place far from the blues. For my family, leaving Yugoslavia, America was this great place that your dreams could come true. And
one of his dreams did come true, the day he traded his violin for a guitar.
I mean, I was playing music that I had no connection to. The difference was with blues music, they were right here. I could go see Muddy Waters, and that's what was so profound was these blues musicians were bigger than life. It was the personal connection that sucked me into the blues.
At night, Ivankovich regularly plays guitar with his band at Buddy Guy's Legends in Chicago's South Loop. But during the day, he picks up an entirely different set of instruments.
I'm an orthopedic, spine, and reconstructive surgeon. I do trauma, and I do a lot of work with my group in underserved areas of Chicago. We want these knees to last 20 years. That's my goal. So whatever we do here, I want a good knee in you till you're 70. Every day in clinic, somebody comes through our doors that has been incapacitated, that's in a wheelchair. The problem is if you don't have insurance, no one wants you. And in these neighborhoods, if you can't walk, you can't live. The funny thing is that in the course of my training at Cook County Hospital, I had a whole clinic that was devoted to caring for blues musicians that did not have coverage. And it always blew my mind that these musicians were world renowned. I mean, these were guys who were on multiple records, had hits, could go to Europe and play for 10,000 people, yet here in their own city, they were relatively unknown, and they didn't even have insurance.
Whether performing surgery, caring for the underserved, or jamming on stage, this doctor/bluesman is on a mission.
The key part is that the mission of the music and the mission of the medicine really does overlap to the same people, to the same geography. So I don't think it's disconnected. The quote that I always use from Willie Dixon is his song, "I live the life I love, and I love the life I live." So.
And what was really interesting was, so when we formed the Chicago Blues All-Stars, I actually helped Ray set up with his attorney he got paid finally because that concert got released on a DVD. I mean, you can buy it. The Rolling Stones and Muddy Waters play the Checkerboard Lounge. And Ray got paid like $50,000 for that.
Wow.
And it was really cool. And that was like a lot of nostalgia. And I'm like, Ray, the one time you didn't bullshit me was when the Stones were at the Checkerboard. He goes, man, I told you that was it. And so, he kept blowing me shit about that. But go forward like 4 years, when I was at Northwestern I was in the honors program in medical education, being the pinhead that I am. We had to do laboratories, and there were animal laboratories back then. We didn't get back. That was a time when we wouldn't get, protested and all the people shooting paintballs at us for doing animal laboratory research. And one night I was there playing, just by myself in the lab. And I had a 8-track player with, some stuff I bought on Maxwell Street, Freddie King, Elmore James. And this old guy with really bad jerry curls came in and said, "Man, who got the blues on?" And I go, "Well, dude, I'm the only guy in here. It's me. I'm playing the blues, you dumb fuck. It's me." He goes, "Man, you like the blues?" And I said, "Of course I like the blues." Well, one thing leads to another, and he starts talking about this club that he owns on the South Side. And I'm like, "Dude, come on, man. You run the laboratory here. You don't own a club on the South Side of Chicago. Don't bullshit me." He goes, "No, man. I own the Checkerboard Lounge." I go, "Man, Buddy Guy owns the Checkerboard Lounge. You don't own it. Let me and Buddy own it." And so he told me to bring my guitar down on Monday, and he could go jam. I would be able to jam with Buddy and Junior and Muddy, and of course, Killer was there. And I just said, I go, "Man, I don't really believe you," kind of like I didn't believe Killer about the Stones. And I drove down to 43rd Street, and that was a really dicey. I mean, I was at the El Rucan, like years later, at the El Rucan National Headquarters right nearby there. That was a crazy part of town. And I pull up, the security guard escorted me from the car, my van, with my guitar, and it was like 3 in the afternoon, and I walked in there, and the place was empty. There's nobody there, and then I look around. I go, "It's an empty club. There's nothing going on. A bunch of old dudes playing cards and watching TV." And I look behind the bar, and I did a double take because I thought, "Man, I recognize those guys." And it was Buddy Guy, Junior Wells. It was Lefty Diz, who later became one of my patients. Johnny Dollar, who also became one of my patients. And Magic Slim, John Primer, and Killer. They were all at the bar. And who was pouring drinks for them but the guy from the laboratory? L.C. Thurman was behind the bar pouring cognac for everybody. And I thought, like, oh, my God, I fell into heaven. I'm like, that was kind of my whole white boy caught up in the blues thing. And that was like, to me, like going to graduate school, getting to meet those guys and getting to become very friendly with them. That was when nobody really gave a shit about the blues. And there was all this amazing, legendary talent right on the South Side of Chicago. And I got to be exposed to it. That's where I met Joanna Connor. When Joanna Connor came from Boston, she played in the 43rd Street Blues Band with Dion Payton. And Joanna and I became really good friends at the Checkerboard. It was an amazing place. And it was like, you didn't appreciate. So my first job in medicine, after I got done with training, I was offered a job at Cook County Hospital. And I told them I didn't want to work at the main hospital. I wanted to work at Provident. The Checkerboard was on 43rd and King Drive. Provident Hospital is on 51st and King Drive. So I had a guitar in my car, and I would go from my clinic Friday night. I'd be done at about 5, hop in, go 8 blocks to the Checkerboard, and just hang out and play. And I mean, you could get 4 pig ears on a couple of pieces of Wonder Bread with mustard for $1. And you know what? I would walk in there going, "I am never going to eat one of those motherfuckers. Those taste like dog shit, I bet." But you know what? After you've had about 5 beers at 2 in the morning, I would scarf down like 2 or 3 of those things without a thought. So Checkerboard was amazing. It was the place where I learned stuff that you couldn't buy. And I was so grateful. And the best thing that really set the trajectory for much of my musical and much of my professional life was none of those guys ever charged me a nickel. They never charged me a dime to do anything. They taught me. I got to hang out with them. They mentored me, and they thought it was cool that I hung out with them. And so later, when I had the opportunity to do something for them in return, I found out just about, much of the challenge of being a modern blues musician wasn't quite as glamorous as people might think it would be. It was, these guys came from hard areas. So I basically became the team doctor to the Chicago blues scene. And I've been taking care of musicians of the blues community, and now, jazz and rock too, since COVID, for like the last 30 years. And that's probably been that's how I became the blues doctor. And that was, like I said, I would have never been even thinking about that stuff had Mike Ostrenga not been my gateway drug to rock and roll and guitar,
Just call me your emotional. I'm your emotional support bass player.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and that's why I got you that silver tone. I got you that silver tone because I was just trying to return the love. That was a token of my thanks for you corrupting my young mind and scrambling my brain to actually want to go learn how to play the blues.
Oh, right on. Well, I couldn't help myself.
That's like a long-winded circular way to just say I love Chicago blues.
Dude, that was probably one of the best stories we have had on this podcast. I mean, that was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all people that when you look at it now as we're older, I mean, Buddy Guy and Otis Rush back in like the 80s, they couldn't get arrested. I mean, these were guys who I looked at. I remember when I called Fender because Buddy was amazing. Eric Clapton obviously loves Buddy. And but Buddy honestly couldn't get arrested. Him and Junior would go to Europe. They do tours. After Muddy died, the blues scene was not what we know it to be in Chicago. I remember calling Fender when Fender was kind of taken out of CBS's corporate grip, and they were reissuing all these really cool vintage Bassman amps and guitars. I said, Buddy, you need to get a Strat and a Bassman like you played on Man in the Blues. And, he said, yeah, that would be really cool. I'd like that. So I called Fender and I talked to their A&R, their artist rep guy. I go, you know what? You guys need to hook Buddy Guy up with some guitars and amps. They go, yeah, we'd love to do it. We'll give it to him for 20% above cost. I said, you guys are fucking crazy. You're going to charge Buddy Guy to play your fucking piece of shit Fender Strat and the Bassman? I go, he's doing you a favor, man. And they wouldn't do it. They were like super hardcore. And then the following year, Eric Clapton was in some guitar, I think it was Guitar Player, where he called Buddy Guy the greatest guitar player in the world. And then Eric Clapton got on the phone to Fender and it said, if you don't give this man his own guitar line and his own custom amp, I'm going to Gibson. Well, I didn't have the pull and sway Clapton did, but Buddy, that's how Buddy got back into playing Fenders again and playing Fender amps. So,
wow.
It was, I was so happy that he did that because for me, Buddy has a Bassman amp that he played on all the old Chess recordings. He calls it his Bassman in the basement. And I was so glad that he went back. I mean, he sounded amazing with a Guild Starfire through a Marshall stack, but Buddy playing a Strat through a couple of Bassmen, man, to me, that is like from God, man. And so when Buddy went to the Legends, move downtown, Buddy's always been really supportive. And I can't thank Buddy enough for his encouragement and his support of the band. I mean, he put us on when they did public television did a series called Chicago Blues, and they did a whole documentary episode on me and the band. That was one of the I believe 8 bands that they featured, and Buddy was kind of like he was kind of the pimp daddy of that series, and it was Buddy Guy presents Chicago Blues, and man, he didn't have to do that. I mean, that was, like I said, it was just the little things that getting to open for him. Like whenever we play at the venue, he always comes up and jams with the band. I mean, to me, that's just reiterates what an old fuck I've become. And also, though, how thankful I am to actually have had the opportunity to be mentored by a guy who I've always admired as really one of my legends and one of my guitar heroes. I mean, to be able to be up on stage with a person who you have admired since you were a teenager, that's pretty fucking amazing. I still get, every time he gets up on stage, I get goosebumps, man. And so that to me was a very that's just one of those just weird, like surreal experiences. And every time, I see it, I'm like, I slap myself. I'm like, I mean, yeah, you're a doctor, but you're a musician too. And that's a good feeling to be able to segue from reconstructing somebody's spine to being able to play with Buddy Guy. So for me, I'm pretty happy with where my life trajectory has taken from me. So I I mean, I love blues music, and I can't. I mean, I love music in general. I mean, I'm a musicologist and blues historian, but I love blues, man. And Mike will tell you, I mean, every time he tries to introduce like some new tune, I'm like, yeah, but here's another blues tune we could do, Mike. And he looks at me and
Right.
rolls his eyes. I go,
I
you
said,
know,
what
man, just
chord?
play that same riff. Give me that lump riff. Boom, 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 boom. You know, and I can see Mike getting like pissed off but then he does it. He does a really good job because he knows how good it sounds. But it's yeah, I just like blues, man. I mean, I've played complicated violin stuff and I played jazz fusion. It just ain't the same to me, man. I mean, blues to me hits me in a place that is just when it's right, you know, when the hair stands on the back of your neck, when you hit that note or that groove is happening, there's like nothing you can ever even duplicate on that. And I've been to hundreds of concerts. I mean, blues does it for me, and I'm just straight up. I'm a fan. I'm an addict. I love blues.
It's fun. Nothing like being on a stage at Buddy Guy's place and seeing people from all around the world looking at you play and digging what you're doing. When you got
Dude,
a good,
they were digging that silver tone bass, motherfucker. They came
I
up to
know they
you
were.
and they wanted to know who the fuck got you that cool ass bass.
They did. They said, forget about you and you're playing. Who got you that bass?"
That's what
And I
I'm
said,
saying. And you said, my man, Dr.
big
Dan.
golf fan.
Dr. Dan, talk to me 1980 Blues Brothers. Did that have an effect on you? What did that do for blues in Chicago, or is it just commercial crap?
You know what? That is probably one of the definitive movies that encapsulates Chicago. I mean, think about the places that don't exist anymore.
Maxwell Street.
I mean, well, so that Maxwell Street scene when they had John Lee Hooker.
Walk that walk and talk that talk and whisper in my ear, tell me that you love me. I love that talk, that baby talk. When you talk like that, I can't take it like that. How. Hey, come on, baby. Walk your walk, talk your talk, baby. Talk.
That was Bongo, the song that I wrote back in the 50s. No, you didn't. With such a big hit. No, you didn't.
You guys know that was supposed to be Muddy Waters. Muddy was sick that day, and they got John Lee Hooker to cover for that. But those were all guys like Luther Johnson is the guitar player. Big Walter is on harmonica. Willie Big Eyes Smith is on drum. I mean, it's like a who's who of Chicago blues. I mean, and think about all the careers the Blues Brothers resurrected. Aretha Franklin, James Brown, everyone came out of that movie with a resurrected career. I mean, people can talk shit about the Blues Brothers movie and they can make fun of John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd as not being legitimate blues guys, but those guys single-handedly resurrected the genre and they carried it up until when Stevie Ray Vaughan made the scene. So I love the movie and I watch the movie annually. How about that? I still will grab my wife, Dr. Carla Ivankovich, and she knows what's happening. I go, hey babe, we're gonna watch. And she goes, again? I go, damn right. And we will we'll watch the Blues Brothers in surround sound and jumbo TV. And every time they add new footage, I get psyched about it. I love the movie, and I have great respect. And I think critics will tell you that is probably one of the most important movies ever made in Chicago. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Amen, brother.
I would agree. I think I remember it as a kid. It was great. I mean, the music was great. The whole story was a great, funny story. But all those, James Brown and Ray Charles. So I got a question to ask you though. How about Blues Brothers 2?
I mean, here's the thing.
1999.
Part of the problem was that John Belushi was an amazing character actor. He was Chicago.
Yeah.
And the problem, Jim Belushi is a super nice guy, but he's not his brother. Thank God. I mean, look, John Belushi was a disaster, a train wreck, and that's what made him so amazing. But in Blues Brothers 2, I mean, they did have Johnny Lang, right? They had Junior. I mean, they did have some cool stuff, but it wasn't. You can't make lightning strike twice. The Blues Brothers was such a perfect storm that brought in and one of the all-time crazy bitches. Come on, man, Carrie Fisher. Everyone had a girlfriend like her, right? Every one of you fuckers had a girlfriend like Carrie Fisher, crazy bitch that wanted to blow you up, that wanted to flamethrow you because you fucked her up. And, women from Chicago that you do that to, they take that shit personally. So Carrie Fisher add a whole layer to the Blues Brothers that made it, it just made it perfect. Every character there was amazing. And the story that it told, the Chicago police, come on, how are you going to recreate that chase scene? It's illegal. You can't do it anymore.
No.
I mean, they before it was being destroyed, they let them trash it. Yeah. And like I say, just you're never going to recreate. It was everything that it could have been. And I can't really I don't know, man. I as I look at that thing and when you look at when they're over like Gary, Indiana, when they do the aerial view on Gary, that's I live there now. I have a place down in Gary in Miller Beach, and all those places when you see it again and like where they were at under the L tracks, right? I mean, how many clubs and greasy diners have we been at under that same address? So I don't know. There's just something about it that's very personal. And I don't know, maybe my life has become the Blues Brothers. I don't know. But thankfully, I don't have any crazy women in my life. Oh, my God. Thank you. I'm happily married to the most amazing woman who actually supports all my music stuff. So I don't have that. But the Blues Brothers are great. I mean, it's a great point that you brought up. And I think for any aspiring musician who wants to know about Chicago music history, if you don't watch or know the Blues Brothers, it's almost like not being able to play Sweet Home Chicago. You're an idiot. You should learn.
And let's talk about 2120 South Michigan Avenue, Chess Records.
Well, have you guys been to many of those outdoor summer concerts with the Blues Heaven Foundation?
No. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, so what happened when Chess Records went under, they gave Willie Dixon that building. and he created the Blues Heaven Foundation, which had a lot of sort of pro bono, pro genre, pro musician entities to it. And I think that it was done at a time when Chicago blues was probably at its lowest ebb in terms of commercial popularity, in terms of tourism dollars, in terms of just overall credibility. It was too soon. I mean, you know, it's like a classic car. You got to wait 20 or 30 years for things to come back if they're really cool. And it took like 3 decades for 2120 South Michigan to become this monolith once again. And you guys should go there in the summer. They have great shows. The tour is great. And it's shocking how, I mean, so you would think that I would love all the blues guys, which I do. I mean, think about the people that recorded there: Howlin' Wolf, Elmore James, Little Walter, Big Walter, Sonny Boy Williamson, Muddy, Buddy. I mean, everyone. But to me, the two most important guys for me as a guitar player that came out of Chess Records were actually Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry. People forget about Chuck Berry. Muddy brought him there to sign him, and that in one fell swoop basically transcended the blues and handed it off to rock and roll, and that's what made the Stones. I mean, that was their impetus for becoming what they were. And Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley for me are probably, look, I love the history of all those talents. And, Jim O'Neill from Living Blues magazine, when he put it out in Chicago, was a mentor of mine too. I mean, he's a great blues historian who I learned a lot from. But the whole pantheon of chess greats, for me, yeah, Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry probably were the alpha and the omega, only because as much as I love the blues, it happened from like 1950 to, when Bo and Chuck did their thing. It's what they did going forward that was the seed that drove what is rock and roll. I mean, likewise, what happened at Sun Records, what Sam Phillips was doing with all these upstart white kids, had Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, Elvis, Carl Perkins. And they created the sort of bookend of rock and roll roots that was all founded in blues and gospel music, just like Chicago was. And the Great Migration brought all these influences from the South, but they catalyzed here and they created rock and roll. And to me, Chess Records was the mothership, man. And I think, once again, people don't appreciate the power and the majesty that was created. I got to be pretty good friends with Malcolm Chisholm and Fred Breitberg, who were engineers during my aspiring recording engineering days when I worked at Universal Recording downtown. I sought out the guys that recorded many of the artists that I loved on Chess, and I wanted to learn how they did it. And it was amazing what if you listen to some of the Little Walter, they were doing like tape delay with some of the drums. I mean, they're doing some really innovative stuff, non-multi-track. They're doing it live to 2-track, and it was pretty amazing. Yeah. I mean, they had, I mean, look, Abbey Road and George Martin and Alan Parsons and all those guys. That wasn't, but Chess Records was doing some really heavy stuff technically, and I think people don't really give as much credit for what it did. And then remember, Chess Records owned WVON. That was the voice of the Negro. Carl and I, when I left doing rock and roll radio, I worked at WNUR. I ran that when I was an undergrad. I was the graduate advisor when I became when I went to med school. I worked at WCKG and in New York. And when I came back, I kind of grew weary of doing music. And Carla and I did for 7 years a talk show on WVON. And most people don't realize that WVON, now they call it Voice of the Nation. But back when Chess Records owned it, it was called Voice of the Negro. And the minute there'd be a new record, it would get airplay, and they broadcast all the way from Chicago. on that AM frequency down into Memphis, Mississippi, and Arkansas. So, there was a lot going on with Chicago being in the center of the country, being sort of the epicenter of the Great Migration along with Detroit. And, the music was powered by all these influences that came here and became just amplified. They became muscular. Guitar amps were made in Chicago. Guitars were made. Sears Roebuck was the biggest we didn't have Guitar Center back then, so they had Montgomery Ward's, they had Sears, they had the Harmony guitars, they had Airline, and all these blues musicians were here with. They were playing in juke joints. If you see pictures of Muddy Waters at the Stovall Plantation playing with like a rubber band on a box, and he's here them playing like a Fender Telecaster through a huge amp. I mean, that was the magnification that the Delta blues, when it became electrified, it just shook the universe. And once again, a lot of the white people here in Chicago didn't have the gumption or the foresight to understand like what was going on. Yet these kids in the UK, I mean, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, they were eating the shit up. I mean, they were buying clothes, trying to dress like, black people from Chicago because it was just super cool. Eric Clapton's first major guitar was a K jazz guitar that was sold here. Jimmy Page played Supro amps. I mean, all of them were trying to copy the blues guys. And honestly, my favorite Rolling Stones music is their early stuff. My favorite Led Zeppelin stuff. Led Zeppelin 1 is essentially, and 2 is essentially a tribute to Chicago blues. And all those bands, Jeff Beck, his first one, the Jeff Beck group. And tell me that stuff. They did Ain't Superstitious. They did, How Many More Years. They did all these blues songs that they just, once again, they took what Muddy did in electrifying it, and the way that Muddy did it with the amplifiers and guitars made in Chicago, they did it with Marshall amps and made it even louder and crazier. So, the blues really transformed. And once again, when Mike and I were in high school, my gateway drug to the blues was Led Zeppelin. My gateway drug to the blues was Eric Clapton. I saw, I grew up right next to the Wirtz family, and I got to go see, I actually had tickets to the last Zeppelin tour when Bonham died. And I think it was like in 8th grade, and I was heartbroken because I wanted to go see them. But I got to see Clapton and all these bands that were so influenced by blues. And I was like 13, I had no fucking idea, right? So, just to like reverse engineer all that and understand that the shit came from my city and these dumb fucks in Chicago totally missed it. But these British guys got it. Talk about, it was awesome. I love the blues. And like I say, what it touches and what it has touched in modern music, you can't even begin to, like Muddy Waters to me is, he's the Mac Daddy of electric blues. And B.B. King, I love and I admire, but even B.B. King said Muddy Waters was a bad motherfucker, even though B.B. didn't swear. He gave big props to, Muddy was a giant. And you could go, look, when we were in high school, you could go catch Muddy at his place down on the south side when Killer Ray lived there. And then when Muddy got married, he moved to Westmont. You could literally drive to Westmont and go to Muddy's house if he was in town. He'd come out and talk to you. That's how crazy the world. What rock star can you go hang out with and talk to him in 2025? Nobody. Just fucking, I love Chicago. I say you guys lit me up here getting me talking about Chicago, but that's why I stay here. There's nothing like it. And for music and influence and style and cool. Even if you go to 47, Bacon's Menswear, I used to go down there to get my velour hats and my suits. That's where Junior Wells shopped. And Junior Wells, if you look at his poster, that was like the most badass. The guy was the pimp. He was the James Brown pimp superstar of the blues. And that's where he shopped. So I had Bacon ended up being one of my patients. And they called him Bacon because he weighed 500 pounds. But that dude was like the haberdasher to every cool black dude. So he made suits for me. And I just said, where does Junior get his shit? Down on 47th? I'm going to 47th. And yeah, the clothes, the food, the vibe, the culture, the music. I mean, it's still there, but it's just very different right now. I mean, I could walk as a teenager anywhere in Chicago fearlessly. Now I won't go south of the Congress Expressway unless I've got like an AR-15 and a couple of Glock 10 millimeters like strapped on my dash, because it's crazy like it's never been. But back then you could go anywhere and enjoy this music. You can't really do it today. And I'll probably get in trouble for saying it, but it's true. I mean, back then when people came down there, nobody gave us any trouble. It was never a bad scene on the South. The West Side was always a little bit rougher, but the South Side was a very welcoming. And there's still, I mean, if you guys ever want to go on a road trip, one of my patients is the bass player. He's an amazing bass player. There's a place called the Odyssey down on 95th, and they still, it's a very down home, juke joint. Jerome had a place down on South Damon, in Englewood, but I'm a little bit freaked out about going to Englewood, like 73rd and Englewood, but Hot House, Hot City. Hot House was a jazz place. Hot City was like a killing, joint down there, always hopping. And he's got another place, I think on 57th. But yeah, Odyssey on 95th. If you guys ever want to pile up the truck and go down there, it'll be a time like you've never had. You'll have a great time.
Orange whip, orange whip, orange whip.
No, you know what? I mean, it's either going to be Hennessy or Cavassier. I don't think they do the whips. And then it's either Wild Turkey, Hennessy, or Cavassier. And if you're going with no hair on your chest, you'll need to shave that thing tomorrow.
Old 45, baby. Give me that paper bag, my friend. Dr. Dan, you are a fucking hoot.
Yeah. A lot of stories, man.
You are amazing.
We need 3 more episodes with Dr. Dave, man. We got to have questions here soon. I know we're running out of time, but dude, that's just amazing.
You guys are going to, you know what? Feel free to liberally edit. I've got verbal diarrhea tonight just because I got lit up when you guys just brought up. I knew you were going to bring up Chicago, but like I say, it's hard for me to shut up.
But that's what this is all about. I mean, this is a Chicago pod music.
Why would we break our streak of being demonetized for 2 years straight? Why would we? Yeah. Why we want to break?
We want to be, we love being demonetized. But I mean, this is great because this is what it's all about. Most of the people we talk about the cover scene, we talk about the burbs. It's nice to get original music on here. It's nice to get that real Chicago flavor that you bring to the table. It's a view, it's an angle that we haven't had an opportunity. And everybody, and I'm watching my co-host here, it's like watching a great movie. We're all over here eating popcorn, just go more and more and more to learn about it.
There's so much history that I don't know about that.
I learned so much listening to Dr. Dave talk, and I'm over here Googling. I'm like, holy shit, well, I didn't know that. But, I can't say that I'm a blues guy. I love the blues. But listening to you talk, I understand why I like the rock music I listen to today, which is not, the poppy. It's not the heavy. It's a blues-based rock, and it's based on everything you just talked about. Because I'm sitting here Googling, well, what about this guy? Let's look at his roots. Holy shit, it goes all back to what you're talking about. It's amazing.
Well, what was crazy is, all those guys from Chess that I told you about, they were icons. I mean, guys that define the genre. But believe it or not, there was this little label that was called VJ Records, and it was a black-owned label. And what was crazy about it, so VJ, shockingly, it was a black-owned label, and I believe it was based out of Gary, Indiana. That was a Chicago label. They had distribution rights to the first Beatles album in the United States.
Holy shit.
And but who was on their label was like really wild, because Muddy Waters did not have a lot of chart records. He was kind of an album guy and sort of this art, grand poobah of the blues. The guy on VJ who had more hits than any blues person, B.B. King, Albert King, Freddie King, you name it, Muddy, Howlin' Wolf, Jimmy Reed. So Jimmy and John Lee Hooker were on VJ Records, and the tremendous story. One of my buddies, Scott Dirks, who plays harmonica in the Chicago Blues All-Stars, he did a book on Little Walter, but he turned me on to the book on Jimmy Reed. And there are a lot of things that I didn't know, because when I was in trying to develop my guitar playing, I it was very hard going from violin, where you're doing a lot of individual notes, to the concept of chords and rhythm. And I listened, everyone recommended to listen to Jimmy Reed because he had more hits than everyone, because the songs were so simple, anybody could play them. Any of you guys could pick up a Jimmy Reed record and do the whole damn catalog in an evening. And so what I wanted to do, Jimmy's songwriting partner and guitar player for decades was Eddie Taylor Sr. And man, I'm a persistent motherfucker. I mean, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have like directory assistance that would be helpful. So I actually got the Chicago phone book and called every Eddie Taylor until I found Jimmy Reed's guitar player, Eddie Taylor, and I asked him to be my teacher. And he did it. And we met, and we would play. We'd go out in the park. He lived down on 18th and Tallman, which was a rough area. And it always blew my mind that I'm like, here's a guy who's literally songwriter and guitar player for an artist duo that sold millions of records and had worldwide influence, that when he goes to Europe would play in front of thousands of people, yet he still lived in the projects. I mean, that was pretty mind-blowing to me. That was, as a youngster, I did understand about racial disparity at a very early age. I didn't live it, I observed it. And the crazy part, like, I would buy Eddie lunch, we'd go play, and he would teach me stuff. And he, once again, he never charged me anything. We just hung out, and I think he thought it was like a little bit weird and crazy and cool that this guy out of nowhere wanted to learn from him. And so I did things for him. I didn't realize that he had certain medical issues. And I just started making calls, trying to help him with appointments. And he did have some medical concerns. And that was really the basis for us starting the Chicago Blues Society. And, it's not so much about the music as it is about the musicians. I take great umbrage at, the Blues Foundation, this whole concept of keeping the blues alive. I don't know what the fuck that exactly means, but our motto has always been keeping blues musicians alive. And that's been a very big recurring thing with our album. We devoted the entire proceeds to a musical medical fund for people that had medical concerns that they needed emergency funding for. We've taken care of like all the musicians pro bono since I've been in practice. And we had a clinic. I mean, all we do is take care of them. But Jimmy Reed was, like I say, Eddie Taylor was the guy that, for me, made it all kind of come together. But once again, I had to find him, and I sought him out, and he was right here under my nose the whole time. I just had to figure out like who he was and what he did. And it was right here. And that's what, to me, again, another thing about why Chicago, to me, is just that sort of recurring, never ending well of just history, knowledge, culture, cool. And, I'm not putting myself out that I'm good, that I'm bad, but I know the music, I can play the music, and I've played with some amazing people. And I always joke about the fact that I'm their sideman, because, these are guys that have all played and toured all over the world. And I didn't have that luxury. I've gotten to do some amazing things, but, it's a hard life being a musician, as you guys know. And, I the gift that I've been given to be able to have access to the music, the musicians, and actually to live it the way I've been offered to live, you got to put something back. You can't just take. So for me, I give back on the whole, blues doctor thing, and then I get to play with it. But I, at one point when I was working in radio, I think I had about 25,000 albums, 33s, 78s, 45s. There's a guy on 47th, Gemini 2 Records was a talent scout for Motown. And I used to go in there, and he would get me 45s of every artist I wanted to. So yeah, I like the vinyl and I like the whole vibe, but it was I think you guys get the drift that we going down the gospel path, going down the jazz path. I mean, Chicago is never ending, and it doesn't have to be boring. You guys know that I play a very up energy rock and roll R&B funk blues thing. Everyone thinks blues is depressing, and it is, honest to God, anything but.
Dan, I got a question for you.
Yep.
Do you think we could have you on for another episode of this sometime?
Never. No, absolutely not.
I'll twist your arm. I'll reach up and grab your arm. You're a foot taller than me, and I'll twist it. I'll say you got to come back to another show.
Dude, and look, anything you guys want to do, as I said, you guys can liberally edit the fuck out of whatever you want to do, because honestly, we're just here talking. You guys put a quarter in the jukebox and I'm playing, and take whatever you feel that is a benefit or of interest, and do whatever you need with it. I don't really have any when I do these podcasts and I do these interviews, I mean, we're just kind of talking and hanging out.
Yeah.
And
man, it's cool, Dan, because I know you as a good friend, and I've heard so many stories, and every time we talk, I hear more and more stuff. And for everyone else here and everyone that's going to be watching this, I can only imagine that it's going to be amazed. Say, holy shit.
What we should do is we should book, like, every time we rehearse, Mike, I think the stories and the bullshit are way more fun than the music. Like, we sit there and we'll book some, like, rehearsal at some dive location on the south side, and we'll jam, we'll hang out, we'll talk, and the stories are absurd, I think, and they're fun.
I'm in. Count me in.
Dr. Dan, let's sell some tickets, man. Where can somebody check you out?
Well, so for November, we're not doing Thanksgiving this year. I've got two shows. So the Chicago Blues All-Stars are playing at Buddy Guy's on Friday, December 19th.
Okay.
And on the 20th, it's something that I've been working on and wanting to do in the context of an organ trio. The Chicago Slim organ trio, which is going to be, I've always liked the Doors, the fact that they never played with a bass player, and the Ray Manzarek got to do some pretty crazy stuff on the keys. Roosevelt Purifoy Jr., to me, is probably one of the best kept secrets of keyboards in Chicago. He plays on everybody's record. He probably played on 300 releases that I can count. And we're going to do something on the 20th at Legends. And that's going to be a lot of instrumentals, a lot of, everything from like the Funky Meters and Booker T to Jimmy McGriff, Charles Earland, Jimmy Smith, and then just some of the blues stuff that we do. It's going to be a big stretch for me because I am a frustrated organ player. I've got like 3 Hammond organ B3s and C3s.
Me
and
too.
They sound like shit when I play them, but when Roosevelt plays them, he sounds like God. So I think I just booked the gig so Roosevelt would have to play organ.
Hey,
Right
Dr.
on.
Dan, I fucked up my back. Where do I get it fixed?
Don't have spine surgery. Get a massage, go to the Admiral Theater, have them rub you down. You'll feel better, get a happy ending, and don't talk to any spine surgeon about having a bad back, or you'll end up with a 5-level fusion that you don't need.
You got any feelings about chiropractors?
I mean,
all right.
if they know their limitations, they're quite excellent. How about that?
Dr.
Good
Dan,
answer.
Last one for you, and we'll let you go. You've had a long day, and we got to get you back. Just like Mike the bassist brought you on, Dr. Dan, is there somebody else that you could bring on with yourself that could help us get us better educated on blues in Chicago? Who should we bring on? Reach out.
Well, you know what I would bring, and I think it's all about tangential thinking. I wouldn't want to duplicate what I do. I would want you guys to, I would want to bring on my friend Lynn Jordan, because Lynn, what do you, because she and I became friends in college, and my story with Lynn was that, so she was a like a 5'11" African-American female. And when I met her and heard her voice, I'll send you guys her doing the national anthem at Wrigley Field before Cubs game. She's done it at every major sporting event. They fly her all over the country. But when I met her, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Lynn, why aren't you like singing blues with me? She goes, I hate blues. I don't want to play. I don't want blah, 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 blah. And so she played in punk bands. I mean, like I say, a 5'11" black chick in a punk band. She sang on Urge Overkill albums. I mean, she's a real trip. She's amazing, funny as hell. She does a one-woman show. You would love her.
Yeah, Lynn Jordan and the Shivers. I've seen her.
You hear that, Beth? We got to get
back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, get Lynn on, and Lynn has some ridiculous stories about us in college that might be incriminating, but I'll filter her before we talk. But yeah, you would love talking to Lynn, I think. And Mike, you'd agree with that?
Lynn's the best, absolutely. Cool. She's just you have to meet her.
Yeah, and if you want, I mean, there's more where that came from, but I probably just give it to you like a little creep at a time, because I want you guys to, when you do that, to tell me if that was like right on the money or you want something a little bit different. I don't want to give you a bunch of stuff that may not be to your taste.
We all learned something here, Dan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the best shows we've ever done. Bongo Mike, you would agree, I would think. Mike, bassist, Dan Ivankovich. Did I say that right? Dr. Dan Ivankovich.
Man, we were doing so well until you fucked up my name.
Yeah,
man.
give it to me.
Well, it's the thing is, like, if you know Slavic,
yeah,
Ivan is John, Kovich is son of. It just means Johnson. Daniel Ivankovich. It's just Johnson.
Ivankovich.
Yeah.
Ivankovich.
Easy.
Dan Ivankovich. Thank you
for
coming on the Hogpod podcast. Go get a sip of water. Safe drive to Gary, Indiana.
That's it, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on. You guys have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Great to meet you.
Take care, Dan.